We got a message from Charlie. Let's
Charlie, we're really late, so don't worry about it. Oh, we're live on YouTube.
well, hey. Yeah, we're doing our usual thing. We're just showing up the best we can.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Welcome to the Phil and Phil Show.
So this is another episode of the Phil and Phil Show coming to you
It's Sunday, May
live right
21st,
now.
2021. Oh, we're talking over each other. Look at us. What are we doing?
That's a great start to the show, isn't it?
Oh, we're in trouble.
I tell you what, Phil, I'll get my microphone in the right place as well. That'll be really helpful to have a show. Should we start again?
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know. We're already started. We're already live. I'm Phil.
And I'm Phil.
And this is another episode of the Phil and Phil Show. Live from somewhere in infinite space and consciousness that doesn't exist.
We are definitely live. Definitely live. Definitely live.
So you're awake, Phil?
Sorry?
You awake?
No. Definitely fast asleep in the void of this dream.
It's yeah, quite a dream.
This is a bit like, Phil. I don't know if I can find the film. This is a bit like. Where's the movie? Oh, I can't.
Where's he gone? We lost Phil.
I'm here.
He fell under the table.
No, I was just trying to find a movie. There's a movie where the guys have to go back through dreams. Do you know that one?
Oh, Inception.
Oh, I did have that. Yeah, Inception. So it's.
But I think I've thought about that one, and there's a lot of deep insights into that. We are trapped down at that lower level, and it's like the perception that has been hijacked by the media, the government, all of that, corporations. They've buried us deep, and that was the message of that movie. We're trapped on a lower level. We're not in reality.
Right, I'm gonna get off.
We're awake and we're not. We're just in another level, right?
I'm gonna get off my chair and actually get down on my hands and knees and see if I can find the cover of this movie.
Thanks, Wendy. This is my I'm at work right now, and this is a tapestry I have on the wall at work. So it's a big tapestry. Yeah. My lighting's better, my camera's better. And we still lost Phil. What are you doing, Phil?
I'm right here. I'm just trying to find the cover of this movie so I can show the guys that movie we're talking about being, we think we're awake, but when we realise that we're awake.
I think Phil fell asleep under the table.
I'm gonna bring my microphone down to me now. How's that? I just want to find this movie, Phil, and I'll be back.
But we know what it is. You don't need the movie. I'll bring a picture up online.
Oh, all right. You just do this as a technical thing then.
Yeah, well, what are you doing? Just get up here.
I'm back. I was looking for the movie, you know.
Did you just watch it or something?
No. Someone. I was in a shop the other day and this guy started talking about infinite levels of, consciousness and dreaming, and the dream within the dream within the dream within the dream, and we're all dreaming the same dream, but we're all at so many different levels of the dream that we have no awareness of the dream. Inception. So earlier, before the show started, we were talking about people thinking that they're awake and then shaking that. I've just kind of seen quite a lot of it today and yesterday where people that are supposedly awake because they're not having the stab, they think they're awake and everyone else is asleep. But I think for me, part of the awakening is knowing that you're fast asleep. And I think for me, I'm definitely on the awakening path because I know that I'm fast asleep, stuck in the dream. And I said to Phil, okay, let's just start the show because it's I think this is a really important thing to share, where people are using this misconception that they're awake because they can see one aspect of what's going on and then blaming everybody else for being asleep. And actually, I think the awakening moment is realizing that you're asleep in the dream. And actually, it's not anyone else that's got to wake up. If you're pointing your finger and saying they have to wake up, remember there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And the world is a reality reflection. So if the world is reflecting back to you that everybody is asleep, then you know without a doubt it's you. And you know that you are fast asleep. And when you recognize that people are in a state of hypnosis, again, the reality reflection is, oh, so I must be in a state of hypnosis. So you wake up to the realization that you're fast asleep because that's what everyone's showing you, and you're hypnotized because that's what everyone's showing you. If you couldn't see it on the outer plane, it wouldn't be on the, sorry, if it wasn't on the inner plane, you wouldn't see it on the outer plane because the world would be reflecting something else. So I think Phil and I are both happy to say that we've realized that we are fast asleep and hypnotized on a very deep level of the dream. And when you're in the dream and you realize that you're hypnotized and you're in the dream, then that's the waking up process.
Right. And it's, I suppose, like that moment when you slightly awaken within a dream, you're still not awake. You're just maybe aware that you're dreaming. So
Yeah.
that's the first level, is being aware that you're dreaming.
Yeah. Right. I like that, Phil. To become aware that you're dreaming. And I think that's the stage that Phil and I have both got to, is the fact that we're aware that we're dreaming. So does that make us any more awake than anyone else? Who knows? It just means we know that we're asleep. Right, Phil, I'm going to clear the air, baby.
Well, yeah, so I was talking to
Guys,
her earlier, and she's having a hard time because all, it's kind of that same topic. She's having a hard time because, her family are all getting the jab and they're judging her because she's not, and she's not getting, giving it to her son and all this stuff. And I was just like, look, all you can do is take care of yourself. Like, do everything you can to raise your vibration. You know what to do. Eat healthy, meditate, get in nature. Just, that's all you can do, is just take care of yourself. So, and like, cause what else? Like, you're just gonna freak out, and we're gonna be we're just gonna be in the same fear and stress. Like that fear that we think other people are in, is reflecting from within us. So.
yeah, exactly. If we're experiencing people freaking out and having a go at us, arguing with us, whatever, we know it's a reality reflection, guys. And stop pointing a finger, because there's 3 fingers pointing back at you when you're pointing that finger. So, or the homework is, right, recognize verbally that you're pointing that finger, because it's all about whether you're doing it physically or verbally. Recognize that you're pointing that finger, and recognize for every finger that you're pointing, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? If you're doing that, there's 3 fingers pointing back. I can't do it very well. Pointing back like that at you. So, it's aimed at you 3 more times than you pointing at someone else, right? So thank them. Be grateful that they're showing you what's going on. And that's the key, is even if you can't find that behavior, find that fear, whatever it is, that sleepness, the hypnosis, if you can't easily, identify it, just accept the fact that that's what they're showing you, because then that stops the fight.
It's really just looking at everything that angers you, frustrates you, and just looking at like what aspect of you is creating that.
Yeah,
It's really hard. It's total, full responsibility, and it's really intense.
And another thing for that, a really good practice, is to remember, how does their behavior make me feel?
Right.
So own the feel, instead of saying, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that, which is great, you can, and then go, oh, and how does it make me feel? Because actually, it's not necessarily that you're doing their behavior. It triggers you. And when the shit hits the fan, you can't afford to be triggered. You you can't afford to freak out. So we have to really stand up, because this is what it's about now. This is about standing up, holding our ground. That's it really, isn't it? Standing up, holding our ground, taking responsibility to the best of our ability. But when troubles are afoot, we have to recognize the fact that it's going to freak us out. So you might as well start practicing right now.
I mean, what we're seeing is this intense polarity of like the extreme darkness, like this polarity that's going on, and realizing that, you know, if we're angry at them and they're angry at us, we're both still playing the victim. Like we're both still being the victim of like, oh my God, the world is so bad. And then the other people, oh, those other people, they're not doing what we should be doing. And it's like, well, that's both victim state. It's like there's a lot of blame and that energy right now. And it's the polarity, it needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think the thing with that as well, Phil, is to recognize that this behavior isn't behavior that we can change in a second or overnight. It's a behavior that we have to catch ourselves doing. So do you know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. Recognize what's going on. Recognize that you're blaming. Recognize that you're in fear. Recognize that you're observing fear. And at the end of the day, something I heard the other day, which was great, is it's all energy. It's only how we judge it. There is no good or bad. There's just energy. That's it. Right. There's no light and dark. There's no black and white. There's just energy. And we just label it all. So actually, if we want to wake up, the universe is really giving us the squeeze, man, to say, so what are you doing? Why? Why aren't you awake? Why are you fast asleep? What's it going to take? And, and I don't really know I don't want to know what it's going to take. I want to know what it's going to be like. What's it like to be awake? I wonder what it's like to be wide awake. I wonder what it's like to observe everyone with compassion. I wonder what it's like to have love emanating from my being at all times. What would that be like? And
then we can tap into that, and it's like this. We can choose an emotion to feel love in every cell of our body. We can close our eyes at any moment. And why are we not doing that? Like we can do that anytime. Like we could shift that energy, you could shift that vibration at any moment. How can we suddenly be happy or suddenly be sad? It's a thought form, it changes. So we can come into that frequency of love at any moment. Sounds easy, right? But we're still asleep, right? We know that. It's a good thing we know that. So.
Yeah, it's tapping into that love. So the other thing, Phil, that's amazing, right, for me is whenever I go anywhere now, whether it's on our show, whether it's I check out my Instagram, whether it's I go to a stand in the park, whether it's whatever I do, wherever I go to. Where are the men? Where are the men? It's the women.
What does that mean? What's a man?
Well, I just mean males.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the term. What does man mean, or masculine, whatever. Where's the male representation in it?
If I go what do you have to go deeper into that? What do you mean?
Men. Where the fuck are the men, Phil?
They're not there? It's all women?
They're not fucking there. It's just women.
Wow.
I go, wherever I go now, it's probably 1 man to every 6 women.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. Where are doing the shopping with nappies on their faces? Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's just, it's really interesting. And this isn't a new thing. This is, I've been doing personal development stuff for 20 odd years. And actually I would go, and often I would be the only male. My sister, she's seen them in Waitrose. All the men are in Waitrose wearing face nappies doing the shopping. They're not standing with their women. So,
but see, I think it's all this perception. It's all been hacked out of us through, the media, well, the media. The media is everything. The media is the corporations. Is, you know, are the true essence of who we are has been beaten out of us. Our perception has been beaten out of us. We're born with having that, still having some level of that connection, and it's just beaten out of us through school, through all of that, and we're trying to reclaim that perception of what it truly means to be awake.
So I think today, Philip, standing in the park, right? I think there was about 30 people there, and 4 of us were men or males.
It's interesting. Well, see, some of the rallies I've gone to, there's a lot of really strong men. So maybe it's an Arizona thing or an American thing. So not sure what's going on over there.
But this wasn't a protest. So it wasn't, you know, it's not a protest.
It was more of a feminine protest in the way you said it, right? Because you all stand silent and you just connect.
Yeah, we just stand and connect. It's not rah, rah, rah.
Right.
It's just showing solidarity to each other. Really, it's about solidarity. It's about showing up. It's about turning up, going, okay, we can see what's going on. But see, talking now for women, I think it's more, women are more about nurture. They're more about their family.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping, you know, that's difficult actually, because I'm trying to just caught myself in that. Women are nurturing, they're the nesting, but where's the men protecting their family?
Right. Well, they say that, you know, we're going through it. The shift right now is we're going to see more women come into kind of leadership and holding space of truth roles. I don't really know what the right wording is. So we don't want to put it into like the media terms of equality and all that. It's like so much deeper than that. It's like it's the divine feminine awakening, and it's going to awaken in male and female. So, and
Yes.
some men don't know how to deal with that. They used to like that. We've been taught that the male is this aggressive thing, and then they've mixed that up with like a man who is a protector and somebody strong is the same as an aggressive guy who like likes to shoot everything kind of thing. And they've mixed those two up like it's merged into one. But the reality is, a strong man is holds the vibration, holds the energy. They're like somebody who's holding the space, and they're actually quite peaceful. I think it's like The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. That was a great book.
So, I was just about to I wasn't going to quote the Peaceful Warrior book, but you know, I was just saying it's about being peaceful. Men have to learn to be peaceful warriors. We don't have to go out and tear things apart and kill things to be warriors, right? We can stand and not be phased. You know, and I think David Data talks about masculinity really, really well, where I love David Data's work. It really changed my mindset on masculine and feminine and the roles. And, you know, understanding masculinity as opposed to macho-ness. Most men now in our culture are very macho. They don't understand about being masculine, and to them being macho is being masculine. And actually you can be very masculine and actually just stand quietly.
Right. So, and then you're masculine, and in that holding space, then the feminine shines through in you being compassionate and loving and kind. So there's like that. It's a totally different energy that we need to explore. This week it was a little challenging week. So on I think it was Tuesday. Let's tell a little story. I just took my dog for a walk, and he's like 15 or 16. We don't really know. He's in a really bad way. He just had all his teeth out. He's hobbling along. So I brought him in the house, and like I was just like, you need to go in there. And he was like, he just got upset. And then he like kind of collapsed. So his like legs kind of gave out under him. So I picked him up. He's all floppy, and then he starts like screaming. And then Susan starts screaming. So he's like, and he's zoning out. It's almost like, I don't know if he's leaving his body or something. So I'm having to hold him, and Susan's really upset. So I'm like having to hold space for both of us and like hold him. It's like, it was pretty stressful. So I just did my best to hold space and be present and just do my best to hold, and I'm doing a lot of that right now because Susan's going through her healing, and do my best to just hold space for her. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. That's that's being the warrior, Phil.
Right.
Because in that moment of holding space, you've got to keep it together. You've got to keep it together.
Right.
And that's the thing about holding space for your partner. And kind of really, especially for men, that's kind of like the new masculine, right? Is to stand there and hold the space, keep the space safe, and not have to fix it, not have to fight anybody. Just be there and hold that space.
So then yesterday, continue my story. So Susan was having so Susan held all this stuff in her body, a lot of pain. So I was like, oh, I'll go get some. You're gonna be laughing at me. So I'll go get some CBD with some THC in it.
Nice.
He's like, I'll get a 1-to-1. I'm like, you'll be fine. I've had that before. I had it like 2 years ago. It was like mild, like no crazy effects or anything like that. So I found some really clean stuff and go and pick some up. We get back home, we've done everything. Like it's in like a syringe. So it's like pure, like it's a Rick Simpson oil blend of like, it's, full spectrum blend of 1-to-1 THC, CBD. And so it says start out with like a grain sized little bit, right? So it's like tiny amount. I don't know how much actual CBD was in that amount, but it's like, it says like a grain of rice. So I think I did like less than a grain of rice. Oh my God. It was, and I don't do drugs. I was just thinking, oh, we're getting CBD. I'm just like, it's gonna be relaxing, and total like distortion of reality, feeling out of body. Like it went on for like hours, and like both of us are just lying in bed. And it started out with like totally anxious, and then finally we were just like, we have to just surrender into this. Like we were really anxious, like what's going on? We didn't expect this. Very anxious, all our anxiety came up. And then finally there was like this shift where we both just like, there's nothing we can do. We just have to surrender into this. And we just lying in bed and we surrendered, and it was actually quite beautiful in the end, but it was pretty scary. So
Yeah, Phil, that's amazing because if I take CBD, I can feel. I lie in bed and I can feel that movement of me trying to leave my body. That's just with CBD. That's not THC.
yeah.
That I know of.
I should know, I'm like really sensitive to this stuff.
Oh, that's beautiful, Phil.
Yeah.
So you had a trip without knowing you were having a trip.
Yeah, so I'm still kind of a little bit out of it. This morning I had a massage that Susan scheduled a massage. She's been getting these massages and she scheduled one for me. So I had that this morning. So that's why I was late getting on the call. So I'm kind of spacey right now, but it's good.
Yeah, I almost did a class today, which was by a guy called Jerry Sargent, but it was going to make me late, and I thought, well, how am I actually going to show up? So I didn't push it. It was called. Do you know what? I feel like I can't remember without going to look.
Yeah, I think there's residue of this stuff still in my body. I can't believe how little I took of this stuff. And I still kind of feel just a little
Charlie.
bit spacey.
Charlie, thank you. She's just said it was actually about how to deal with ascension burnout.
So how to deal
Charlie
with
said.
burnout. So how do you how do we deal with that?
Charlie got on the meeting and she said it was good.
Cool. So how do we deal with burnout?
Well, that level
because
of burnout.
I think we're all going through this. Everybody's going through burnout, and because we're all fighting our battle and our perspective on this, and that's kind of part of this hijacking of our perception by the powers that be. Is it's put us all in that fight flight, whatever side we're on. So that's the first step, right? Like get out of sides.
Yeah, no sides.
Get us out of sides.
no sides. It's just there's
Just
a whole
love.
bunch of us that want to wake up, and there's a whole bunch of us that doesn't want to wake up, and that's okay.
Right.
While we're worrying about all the others that don't want to wake up, we're not focused on our own work.
Yeah, how do we know that that's not exactly where they're meant to be for us? Like what?
Well, clearly, Phil, that's exactly where they're meant to be. Otherwise, they'd be doing something else.
Exactly.
So we
And if
clearly
yeah,
need it to be this way in order to wake up. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this part of the dream. We'd be in another
right.
part of the dream.
And if we and I think it comes down to as soon as we focus on taking care of ourselves completely, then it shifts. Like that's the only way it's going to be. But because that's the same with like we're trying to change the world, we're trying to change other people, and we're trying to fix them, and like, that's impossible. But as soon as we change ourselves, perhaps it might inspire others to change themselves, because they'll be like, oh, that person's not judging me. They love me for who I am. I got people here at the office that have got the jab, and it's like, all right, that's a choice they made, and I just gotta love them for who they are, and that's not my place to judge their path. Like that's what they chose. It's like I could get really mad at them, or I've been guilty of calling people idiots for getting jabbed, but
Yeah, me
I've
too,
been
eh?
guilty of that. I'm human, but at the same time, like I can love them where they're at too. Like that's okay. That's their path, and who am I to say it's wrong? Like that's what their journey they came to do. So
Well, I mean, it's clearly right? Their path is clearly, and I judge it as well. And one of the great things about coming on this show and being as transparent as we can is to remind us, it's all right having this wisdom. If you don't take any notice of it, it's bloody useless. It's not wisdom, is it? It's just parrot.
right.
And it's no use at all. So what we have to do, Phil and I is just keep gently as we can, reminding each other that
Yeah.
actually that's a judgment. Actually, that's this. Actually, that's that. Actually, you're saying it's wrong that they've done that. And clearly, what we have to remind ourselves is that every one of us is in the perfect place right now for our evolution. And what we have to remember is for those folks around us is really simple. How do their actions make me feel? Not they're doing this to me, remember, I'm not saying that. How does it make me feel? So it's so when someone does something and you go, you made me feel this. And really it's simple. If you felt it your fucking self, I wouldn't have to make you feel it. But because we're not feeling our own feelings, we need someone else to press those buttons in order for us to feel our feelings. So feel your own feelings and stop creating people to make you feel them. And I am owning that one 100% because that's my path and that's my challenge is to desensitize myself to my own trauma so I can be with people. That's the challenge and it's it's really tough being with people.
There's a great the parable of the monks, and I'm just going to make it up because I can't remember the exact story. But there was the monks in the monastery, and for some reason they thought that somebody was evil, right? And they were judging and fighting each other because they were just in this judgment, and there was just disharmony, and they weren't getting along, and then like they went to this wise man, and he basically spread the rumor that one of them was an enlightened one, and so they started treating each other as if, oh well, maybe he's the enlightened one, and so they started treating each other as as the divine, and it like totally shifted the energy, because everyone, like if we're out there going thinking, oh it's that person and I'm going to blame that person on Bill Gates is so bad, and Anthony Fauci, he's evil and he's destroying the world, instead go, well, maybe there's just a reflection of something. He's the polarity, and they have come to shine a light on the darkness. Thank you. I can thank them. Can I get into total thanks for that reflection? And just like
Maybe
maybe a
they
part of me
actually
wants to. do those
Maybe they
things.
actually are the enlightened ones, Phil. Maybe they're the enlightened ones and we're actually the stupid ones.
Who knows? What do we know? Like they've come down with a mission to awaken people.
That's how I see it now.
Like,
Totally. I totally see this drama that's being played out right now is to wake us up.
and it's been intense. And I said that pretty early on. I think we had a conversation about it. It's like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. This is the Great Awakening. I think that's what kicked us off Facebook when we posted the Great Awakening.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was trigger word. But that is exactly what's happening. It's the most beautiful time of our lives, the most amazing experience.
You know, I was talking to a guy today, Phil, and he was going on about about this big moment in time, and and how long it had been going on for, and I chirped up at least 2,000 years that we know of, and he's like, oh, thinking it was like 2 years,
Right.
and I was like, well, we know it's at least 2,000 years, right? So this isn't new. The last time they sent a Great Awakening, and a Messiah, we fucking killed him. I mean, what on earth's all that about? Do you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, come on, it's time
And
now.
we see this everywhere. Like when, I don't know, we talked about this too. When Trump came in, everybody was like so mad at him and everyone was fighting. It was like all of this judgment and racism and anger and like all these things that they said, oh, it was already there. It's been there for all our lifetimes and maybe longer. We don't know past lives, but that anger, that the continual wars, like that has been there the whole time. And it's just like, oh, we now see it. We're now more aware of it. We're more aware of these constant battles, and it's like, wow, and it hurts. It's really intense, and like we're having to face. We're all having, the planet's going through a dark night of the soul, right?
This is interesting, Phil. Right? Well, my sister Wendy's just typed in, and she's put, when sleeping. I like this because this is true, man. And those of us that turn up, we're just holding a space, right? It says, when sleeping women, murder, when sleeping women, when
Come on, Phil. You want me to do that for you?
I
I
think I
mean,
need to put my teeth back in. When sleeping women wake, mountains move. So yay, there are women in the park.
nice.
It's
It's
you know,
yeah.
and I met a woman yesterday at a convention I talked to you about briefly, Phil, and on a level, so awake. Because when I was talking to her about coloured mirrors and what her clothes meant, the color that she was wearing, what's going on, she was there. She was like, "Oh my god, that's just what I was talking about this morning." It's like, amazing, and so many people. If we actually get any depth, there's just arguments. They just freak out. They don't want to know, and it's difficult. It's not, just giving someone actually feel like the option, like you were saying now. Imagine if we were all upstairs before this incarnation, and
Upstairs. I like it.
an old Gilly Bates was up there with us, and his mate were all up there. And imagine if they said, "Do you know what, guys? We love you so much that we're actually going to sacrifice ourselves. So to manifest as being so evil that everybody on the planet hates us in order for you guys to wake up." What a twist that is, right?
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, the evil ones actually become the ones that love us so much that they'll sacrifice themselves in this incarnation to wake us up.
They're fully playing their role. So,
Clearly, in this dream right now, they're fully playing their roles, and you can see them as angels, you can see them as evil. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they are just energy. And it's all about our perception of the dream. How far down in this dream are we? I reckon a really long way.
Yeah. I think in Ayurveda in India, it's like there's a statement that the world is your guru, the world is your teacher, always. Whatever it is, you get cut off while driving down the highway. Like there's a teacher right there. Everything we do. My experience yesterday, my massage this morning, coming on this show, like we're constantly learning and evolving and showing up. And like we could judge ourselves from yesterday, or like we can only just work to come into this present moment. What we did a year ago, 2 years ago, it doesn't really matter. It matters right now.
And saying that now, Phil, I know for me, I can't talk for you, but I'm sure you're the same with this show. This show brings up all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For me, was I good enough? What do people think? And the bottom line is, it isn't to get off, for me anyway, to get off this show and go to bed and beat myself up, because when I finish the show, it's bedtime for me, right? My challenge is to go and, well, how does that make me feel? Where's that feeling in my body, and how did it make me feel? That for me, because I've got no one else to say, hey, Phil.
Well, it was really funny because you thought I was judging you the other week, last week, and it was like, what? Like, I was telling you, I was like, okay, because what was it you were talking? I mentioned, I'm like, okay, we've been doing a consult with this person, and you thought I was judging you. I was just moving on the show and going, okay, let's move on to the next section.
Because it triggered that thing of I got it wrong.
Yeah.
It triggered that thing of I've got it wrong, or what else came up? I was taken advantage. And of course, clearly, I wasn't doing either. But it's really interesting what came up for me to feel. And I got the bottles out and did a few sprays, and was like, it's just your mind playing games with you. And it's interesting, and it's easy then to go down that route of anxiety, but it's just acknowledging that you're feeling. That's the bottom line, right? I mean, that situation created a situation for me to feel, because clearly you had no idea what I was talking about afterwards, and I was like, well, I kind of knew you weren't, but this is what came up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the challenge. It's realizing what's come up for us. And let's do it with people that love us and care.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not create some massive drama so it's really painful and horrific, because of course it can be. If you're not going to feel, I can tell you from experience, if we refuse to feel, the universe will insist that we feel.
Mm-hmm.
Or our higher self, whichever way, if you say the universe, it's putting it outside of yourself. So self wants to feel everything. So if we're not prepared in this part of the dream to feel, self will make us feel. So I suggest you feel early on when you're with people that you love, so you don't have to then, and that's an interesting concept. I was just about to say, make sure that you feel when you're with people that you love, so you don't have to feel when you're with people that you don't love. But of course, if we're doing this whole twisted thing, this whole let's flip reality, the people that make you feel really, really deeply are potentially those souls that love you the most, that are brave enough to be our souls.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got a great example of that. So I had the ops manager from hell when I started with Health Force. So in California, so I moved from Tree of Life. So I'm going from this environment where everyone's hugging every day to move to California in a city to a manufacturing facility. And I've got this ops manager that like is, he treated me like crap.
Phil, what's an ops manager?
Operations.
Okay. Just for those of us that don't know technical terms.
I don't know how technical that is, but okay, operations manager. So he was like the head running the facility, and it felt like he hated me. He treated me like shit. But part of me knew that it was a gift to like help me grow or evolve. I don't really know the right words because how do you put words on those things? But when I look back, I'm like, that transformed my life, and it helped me be who I am today. And if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't have been able to lead and this facility that I've been leading for a while, you know, and create what I've done here, you know, he was my teacher. It was just like, but on a victim level, it's like he was a bully. He picked on me. He was mean to me. He judged me for everything. You know, I could have been totally like victim state. And I went home crying. And even like, I remember one time I threw a chair across the room because I was so upset about how he treated me. But, you know, like I could have stayed in that victim state or gone, okay, well, what's there to learn here? What's the spiritual lesson in this? Like, what's the gift? Like, is he really evil, or is he just someone to reflect back to me to help me awaken? So
yeah, you know, and that's it. We have to, you know, it's not easy, you know, that's a great example where it's not easy, and then to turn that around to be grateful and recognize. So what we've got to look at there then, Phil, is why we need it so tough.
right.
Why do we need to create hell on earth in order to evolve? So there's a belief somewhere there that actually, in order to change or evolve, it has to be hard.
We have to suffer, right?
We have to suffer. Yeah, it's got to be hard. It can't be easy. This evolving thing can't be easy. So therefore, because of our resistance to recognizing that we're fast asleep, you know, my kind of wake up time realizing that, although I didn't realize I was asleep back then, but I know it's definitely a wake up call, because I was nearly killed in a car accident. And I knew that either I had to change or I was going to die. It was as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was scared enough.
Mm-hmm.
Scared enough, man, to override all the fear, all the fear at that time to change. So when people say to me, "Oh, it's hard to change," yeah, I know. You know, it's like people say to me now, "Oh, but you're lucky, Phil. It's easy for you." And I used to say to them, "I'm lucky. You have fucking no idea what I've put myself through in order to be here. You no idea what I've put myself through." And then I was watching something a couple of years ago, and they said, "You know when you've got to a certain level on your journey, because people say it's all right for you. You're really lucky." And now when someone says, "Oh, it's all right for you," I go, "Yep, it is, because I'm really lucky." You know, and the opposite side of that is, you know, on a level that, you know, there's no luck involved. This was really hard work. Da, 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 da. So what you're saying is, I'm not lucky. So you're throwing that luck. So the universe has given you someone that says, "Well, you're really lucky. You know, you're really lucky that it's so easy for you." And then you go, "No, no, 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 no. It's not easy for me. You have no idea how hard I've suffered and how hard I'm gonna keep suffering."
Right.
And it's like, and then I heard that, and it's just like, oh, so what they're saying is they recognize the level of evolution that I've got to.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to say, yeah, thank you very much. I am lucky.
And that's a very perceptive person. They have seen greatness in you, and then you just rejected that, or you could accept it.
Yeah.
And
So
as you take that, they might go, "Oh, wow, he accepted that. Maybe I can accept some of that."
yeah, and that's the exciting thing, right? Is actually when someone offers you something like, "It's all right for you. It's you know, you're lucky." Yeah, I'll take some. I'll have all the luck I can get, because do you know what, man? I need it.
Yesterday, when I was going through that experience, the shifting point was Susan was like, "What are you afraid of?" Because I was terrified. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna leave my body. I don't know what's going on. I'm like scared." And she's like, "What are you afraid of?" And that was the shifting point. It was like, oh, maybe I just need to close my eyes and surrender into this, because I was scared to surrender into that wooziness. And it was like I was terrified. And then, but it took her saying just that simple thing, "What are you afraid of?" And it was like, oh. And then then I relaxed. It was like, well, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't change this. I just it was like, I cannot change this moment. I have to just be here. And then it was like, as I started to shift, then I was like, oh, wow, I could just, I could just imagine that all my cells are receiving love. And I started doing that. I started shifting. And like all these things, I don't remember what I was saying, but all these like wise things started coming out of me. I was like, I am, love, and like, I am loved, and just repeating positive mantras. And it was like, oh, it was just starting to come out of me, and I wasn't even in control at all. It was pretty amazing.
Phil, so that's just, I'm just going to copy this and I'm just going to say to you there, that's the key, is control.
Yeah, I wanted to control everything.
Yeah. And that's all of us. I did a ritual in New Zealand, and I won't go into the ritual, but part of it was in a cave, just about to dive into a glacial river. And the question was, what do you want to let go of? What came out of my mouth, which I don't know whether it was a good thing or a stupid thing at the time, was self-control. And I said that, and we were in this cave, and the cave went over this glacial river. In order to dive into a glacial river, right, you've got to give up control. And I didn't know what was at the other end when I came out either. It was all about control. It was all about giving up self-control. So that's it. That's what happens for all of us. All these things, it's about control. And most of us go, oh, I don't need control. We all need control. Right. And that's the biggest challenge for all of us, is to let go of control. Self-control.
What does that mean?
Wanting to control the outcome of a situation that we're in.
Right.
Like you yesterday, you were in a situation where you'd taken CBD and THC for a medicinal benefit, and you found yourself tripping. So the control is, I don't want to feel like this. I want to feel normal. I don't
want to be in control again.
So that's what self-control looks like. It's that fear of being out of control. And that for all of us, whatever situation we're in, we all, for most of us, on a very subconscious level, we want to control the situation, the conversation, the meal that we're going to eat, the traffic.
Well, I think it's the people are like, so I can't say people, I say if we don't think when we're in control, we think we have it all together and it's going to protect us. Like, it's a protection thing. It's like, well, I'm not going to be the victim, and I don't want to be let go of this control because I don't want to be passive, and I don't want to let life happen to me, and I'm going to take life by the horns kind of thing. And it's like, it's kind of different than that. It's like a different energy. It's not a victim. Like, it's a surrender and a presence. How do you put it into words? Well, we're getting deep on this show. This is good.
Surrender. I think I think what you said is perfect. It's because what happened with you yesterday, when Susan said to you what you're afraid of, you kind of went, oh, well, nothing. But the mind was terrified of something, because the mind thought, but if I let go of control, what on earth's going to happen? And with that question from Susan, which is a great, right? Questions are really powerful, whether it's for someone else or yourself. And a great question is, what am I feeling right now? Right? Because that brings you into your body. And if I ask the question, what are you feeling right now? So Phil, what are you feeling right now?
What am I feeling?
Because I can see you're feeling something.
I feel a lot of energy in my body.
Okay.
There's some level of fear, self-doubt, worry.
So if you had to choose one of those words, what would the word be? Fear, self-doubt, worry.
Worry.
Sorry?
Worry.
Okay. Worry. So without going really deep on that, right? Where is, without getting into the emotional component of it, because we don't need to, where is that in your body? That worry.
It's in my heart.
In your heart.
Mhm.
So you've got worry in your heart.
Yeah.
Cool. So what color's that worry?
Ooh.
First color that comes into mind.
Dark, but then there's also some yellow there. Whoa, okay, it's
Great.
yellow.
So it's a dark, so in your heart, there's this feeling of worry that's dark and yellow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fab. Well, yellow's about courage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this dark courage sat in your heart of worry, right? And then
Mhm.
you'd say, so what shape is that?
Small, like this kind of shape.
Fab. And what texture is it?
Firm but slightly spongy.
So that feeling of worry now, what number would you give it 0 to 10?
Um, 6.
A 6. Brilliant. So if we just talk around that, you haven't got to go into anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping you firmly in your body. You're not going into your mind. You keep going back to your heart. You keep going back to that. You go to the color. So if you go back into that heart shape now, what color is it?
Well, I don't feel worthy to do a show. Like, who am I to do a show?
Okay, so who am I to do it? So worth. So
Yeah.
where's that worth sitting?
It's in the chest, I think.
So worth sat in the chest. So can you see actually how the worry has already turned to something deeper, which is self-worth? And then, so if we go, so it's gone from the heart to the chest now, right? So it's moved. So you've already transformed that worry, right?
Yeah.
So then what colors that worthiness?
Red.
Brilliant. So you've got this
Sometimes you just let what I don't. It just came out. I don't. You just yeah. Okay.
fab. The thing is, you're trying to control it now. Can you see that?
I'm trying to control it. Like,
Yeah,
why did I pick that color? I don't know.
exactly. So red's the color. The control is, well, it might not be that. It might be something else. I'm just making it up. No. So that's the control. But if we stay with the simple process of color, temperature, what's temperature? Hot or cold?
It's in between.
Fantastic. So just see how I gave you two answers and you chose a different one.
Yeah.
But that's fab, because what that did was you gave me your true answer, because it's like, if it's neither of those, it's this.
Yeah.
Just see. So it's an in-between temperature that's red, right? What's the texture of it?
It's heavy.
It's heavy. Fantastic. So we've now got this heavy red colored.
And then now I'm feeling it. It's like it's on my shoulders. It's almost
Yeah.
like a blanket over me that's like holding me down.
So just see how it's shifting because you're getting in your body.
Yeah.
So the worry was really superficial.
But it was a trigger word that took us here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was control that took us here. And as we let go of control, we get more into our body. Because heaven
Yeah, all
forbid,
these
man.
judgments are coming up. I don't know anything. Who am I? Who am I to talk? What do I know?
So that's the mind, right? That's the doubt. We've all heard of the doubting Thomas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the doubting Thomas comes in, sits on our shoulder, parrots away stuff that we were told, and then doubting Thomas, all it does in parrot fashion is sits there and repeats it enough, hoping that we're going to believe it. And if it sits on that shoulder for long enough, man, we believe it, right?
Right.
That's what we do. So I leave a show believing the crap that's on my shoulder.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
where we took that on, who knows? Like it could have been something we heard, but I think it's really just becoming aware of it. It doesn't really matter. We could have taken it on in a past life or a childhood trauma. Does it even matter? Do we really need to know that? I don't know. Maybe. Or
well,
do
one
we
of the
need?
things I found, Phil, doing this work is if we're meant to know it, it comes out.
Right.
Because as we lift those veils using color, texture, temperature, And the number, it stops us thinking about the worry, the anxiety, the not good enough, whatever. It stops us thinking about that because we're focused on the real feeling. And then with that real feeling, what happens is every now and again you just get this little pop and it just floats up through consciousness and you go, oh my God, I was 4 years old in the classroom. Or, wow, I was a priestess in Atlantis. Whatever it is that comes out, and is that true or not? It doesn't matter.
So we have these conversations, Phil, and I'm feeling that I'm like slightly outside of my body right now. I'm not, maybe I don't know if I seem that way to you, but I feel like I'm not fully in my body. I don't know if that I'm judging it as bad. Like maybe it's not, I don't know what it is.
Something's going on, Phil. That's all.
Right.
So if we don't judge it as good or bad, and we just see it that you're having an experience right now that's uncomfortable.
But it feels like an expansiveness to this room. Yeah.
So cool. So instead of judging it, we can be, I'm having this experience right now, and I can feel the edges of the room.
And it felt like we went through my heart, and I feel like a little bit of an opening there now. Like we just talking about the heart and the chest. Like I feel we released something just by talking about it and being like, oh, it's okay. You didn't judge it. You just said you did, because you didn't, like, by talking about texture, feeling, color, there's no judgment on like any of those being wrong.
The thing is as well though, Phil, we never talked about it. I asked you questions.
Yeah.
I never talked about it, so to speak. We didn't get into our head.
We didn't go, oh, it's good or bad, it's a bad feeling, or it's just.
Well, if you notice, what I kept doing was bringing you into your body with color, temperature, texture. So it's all about, you have to go into that part of your body where you're feeling. And as long as you're doing that, then there's no judgment on either side. And also,
I think I'm feeling like a field, like my auric field right now.
It's just expanded.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do a spray, Phil.
I feel my crown chakra spinning right now.
Okay, let's be brave. We're going to do deep teal. This is a deep teal. This is about, basically, it's about cutting through the crap. This is what this show's about. And so, thanks, Phil, for processing this for me, right?
For you.
Yeah, right. Because you're my reflection.
Yeah.
You're my reality reflection. So what you're doing for me on a level is clearing my heart issues.
Right.
So let's have some dark teal so we can cut through the crap. Let's keep being real.
Yeah, I can feel completely. Like I feel roots going into the earth, an expanded level of energy around my body. I feel like there's energy coming into my crown chakra thing, whatever it is up there. I don't know, something. Okay.
So I'm going to give you, okay. I can't remember much. I can't remember this one. This one's Uriel. So it's an archangel, Archangel Uriel. It's a copper, so it's going to be about grounding, right? It's going to be, this is going to be, Phil, about coming into your body. Most of us do not want to come in our bodies. And guys, you cannot awaken if you're not in your body. It's as simple as that. We have to do the work. We have to do the ground. We have to ground. People, I'm going to use that word, that are in the spiritual world, man, they're all up here. They all want the purple, they all want the white. They're just in the upper crowd. We can all do that.
But it's really interesting when I meditate, and I do a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation, and he goes through the chakras. I always space out for the first 3 chakras. So he'll do this breath stuff, and then he starts at the root and works up, the root, the behind the navel, solar plexus. I can't stay present with those. So it's almost like I'm not facing up there. But then when we get to the throat chakra and the heart and, like the higher ones, it's like, oh, this is easy. But it's like these lower ones, like that rootedness, that groundedness, like I'll space out like one of those. But like because we would, oh, be spiritual, open your heart. Like what about
Phil?
Yeah.
What did I just show you? What just triggered you?
Uriel?
It's about getting in your body.
Okay. Well, you said that, so.
And you went off.
I did.
Right, receive this. I love this work. It's so amazing.
I felt that come onto my shoulders, and it was like, it was like a nice blanket. Like, oh, yeah.
Thanks, Phil, for showing everyone that. That's amazing. I really honor your openness. I really honor your inner child and your little boy, because it's just so beautiful that you're so willing to easily open.
Well, we said this at the start of the show. This show was about us showing up, like
the best of our ability.
And we were having a really hard time with it, I think, at the beginning. It's like, well, first we didn't even do the show, and then we're like showing up, but there's that a lot of that self-judgment, but we wanted it to be really real by just us showing up and feeling. And there's been shows where you took us through this before, which is really good. It's just like this total fear and thinking that I need to say something profound, need to teach people something, like I need to have it all together and have it all laid out in notes and plan the show out and teach people 10 different things. It's like, this show is just about showing up.
Well, I think you said it beautifully in the beginning, Phil, which was evolving out loud, right?
Yeah.
When we've, and I've felt that the last couple of shows we've done, actually, we've definitely evolved. We've definitely evolved, because we were at a point on this show and I forgot that we weren't just on a call.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're being a little bit honest and real here. And I felt myself going, oh, there's people watching, it's going to go on YouTube, and so that means we're getting to an amazing point.
We had that, didn't we? Where we were like, before the show, we would all like free, and then we get on the show, we'd all be like, okay, the 7 steps to getting healthy are, and then after the show, we were all like, oh, that was cool, and then we were like, this should be a show after and pre-show, but in the show, it was like, the 7 steps to eating a raw food diet. It's like, yeah.
And this is the challenge, because it's the thing about being vulnerable and being real, and the reflecting back that gives to people. Interest in the comments over the years that will come to this video, both both good and bad, so to speak, but whichever you say it, but it's like we're going to trigger the shit out of people by being vulnerable.
Well, as I got excited, then like I felt my heart was like, oh, what are you doing? Like there's just like this level of fear there. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you being so honest and open?
Yeah. And also similar for me, having to hold the space for us, not having, but choosing to hold that space for us and being vulnerable. Just because I'm not sat on that side having the questions asked, I'm sitting this side asking the questions, and I'm being, I have to really listen, watch, pay attention, and I have to be vulnerable, because if I'm not vulnerable, you're not going to open.
I feel really safe with you. And we had that one experience where it was not a show, but you called and I had my heart was racing that time. And you were just totally present for me. And you just got me to breathe and be present. And yeah, it was, and I trust you, totally trust you.
Thank you, Phil. You know, and this is the oh man, where was I just going? It's funny, isn't it? I lost that completely. Then I just a message popped up on our message chat, and it just completely took me out of that moment. And
So do you think that's bad that you lost that? Are you judging yourself for forgetting?
no, interesting. No, I was frustrated because I was kind of really in a very profound open moment, and I jumped out of it.
You jumped out of it.
Yeah.
You let yourself get distracted, right? And I've seen you do that. Like you'll be talking and then the chats come up and you, instead of just ignoring them, like, well, I'll look at those when I have a moment, you'll jump out of it. So you might be getting deep into something and you like the chat is like, oh, I can get out of this slight little bit of discomfort right now and get distracted. And that's, we're all doing that in some ways, whether it's social media or food or something to distract us out of being completely in the moment. And that was kind of what happened to me yesterday is, and Susan said it, it's like, because she was worried, like we were house sitting in somebody's house. And so the dogs can have the yard and stuff, which is really nice. But she's worried the dog's gonna pee somewhere, and like we got to this space, and like she couldn't think of any of that. It was like because she was like, I couldn't even think that I could only be in the present moment. I couldn't worry anymore.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. Is certainly I've just experienced. That's my challenge, is being right now. And and for me, it's so easy to jump out of the right now. So I have to be present
Yeah.
because being vulnerable is scary, right? This I'll own that. Being vulnerable is scary.
Right. There's been shows where I wanted to get off the show. But it's like, oh, I want this to end now. Like, when's the end of the show? And I'm like, oh, how do I end the show? Like, let's see if we can end the show right now.
So
Because
Phil,
I had to, like, I'd run out of things to say or messages to give. And I didn't want to be in the uncomfortableness of the unknown, of not knowing what to say, or that discomfort of the silence.
yeah.
Like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Okay, we're done. Show's over.
So I've remembered now what we were into, and we were into the fact that we were on that show, and you were having one of your heart moments, and I held space for you. So what that reminded me or brought up was the fact that actually this is what this is all about now. This awakening for people, and it's actually about people don't need us to judge us. People need us to be there. And if we're being triggered, judgment's about trigger, right? That's what judgment is. If we find ourselves judging, we know we've been triggered. And actually, the reason why I can be there for you is because of the depth of work that I've done. So someone can say, oh, aren't you lucky? Yeah, I am. I'm incredibly lucky, actually. But it's because of the work that I've done. So now, if you or someone else with me becomes vulnerable, if I'm able to spot that, I can drop into my vulnerability and hold that space. And actually, do you know what this awakening needs more than anything else? Is presence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that again. What this awakening needs more than anything else is presence. And the more work we do, the more we recognize the triggers, the more we release those triggers, we can be present. the more we release those triggers, the more we can be present. So actually, there was a guy today and he said, so what do you suggest we do? I said, well, it's simple. You just sort your shit out. Yeah. And then what do we do? I said, and then you sort your shit out.
Right.
And, you know, I'm going to say it again. We're in the Great Awakening right now. What's the biggest, most useful thing we can do for our fellow human beings is to sort our shit out. So when the shit hits the fan, well, it already has hit the fan, we can stay present. So, you know, we have to go to places we don't want to go to, look into that darkness, which is just labeled. And when it makes us wobble, look into it.
Well, what do we need when there's darkness? We need light. So we just need to shine a light on it.
Well, darkness is just a judgment.
Right. But I'm just saying, it's just, yeah, it's a judgment.
Because at the end of the day, it's just energy, isn't it? It's all just energy. And we've been taught right and wrong, good and bad, light and dark. So yeah, if we're in this moment in time is to shine a light on it. But what does that mean? To bring light to the situation? What does that mean? It's like that, you know, what's just come up there for it's the dark night of the soul. What does that mean? So, okay, that question, the dark night of the soul, what does it mean? What just came up then was, it means we're suffering. It means we're remembering something we don't want to remember. Who knows where it's from or what it is? So how can we shine a light on, if we're having a dark night of the soul, you know, if we're having one of those moments, how do we shine a light on that? And I suggest what we do is what I just did with you, Phil, actually, is to go, okay, where's that suffering? Oh, it's in my heart. You know, one of the things I do, which actually, I don't know how useful it is really, is I go, oh, what am I feeling? Well, sometimes it's so bloody hard to know what you're feeling that your brain gets involved and you end up with
judgment there. I don't know if this is useful. What was that about?
Oh, I don't know if
well, you do it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know how useful that is because I then get in my head thinking about what I'm feeling. So actually,
you're still judging yourself there, though.
Not really. It's recognizing that I'm in my head and I'm not feeling. So therefore, the challenge is once you get into
useful if you really feel, but if you're intellectualizing it.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. For me, I found out that actually it isn't that useful. And when I go into, and actually, Phil, this is working with you. This is something that I only recently recognized right now. Because I was feeling stuff the other day and I was like, oh, what is it I'm feeling? And it's like, I have no idea what I'm feeling. But as soon as we go, oh, what color is it? Oh, that's yellow. And it's in my heart. And actually, it's kind of a dense feeling. And actually, oh, yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, because we're taught all these words for feelings like anger, sadness, but they don't, they're so superficial, right? That it's the words. But like
that's intellectualizing, right?
Colors and textures kind of get us a little bit out of the heady part to more of the feeling. Because if we just purely label it as I am angry, like we're just going to think about it. Well, why am I angry? Well, because this person's doing this. And it's like, it's totally different when you really go into like that feeling of anger in your body. Yeah. Where is it? What color is it? What texture is it? Like it's totally a different path.
You know, and that's what I was saying to you just now about asking myself, so what am I feeling? How useful is it? You know, that was a real question. It's like, I don't know how useful it is because actually I then think about that question. Whereas if I go, what color is it? For me anyway, color pops up quite easily. And the trick is, which I think I've done with you before, Phil, when I've said to you what color it is and you're like, oh, I don't know. And I say, well, guess then.
Right. And it's funny that there's always a first color that was there the whole time. And you just were like, well, it's not that, it's not yellow. No. Or like, but as soon as you surrender, the color just pops up and you've got to be like, okay, yellow. And then if somebody says, pick a number between 1 and 10, you're like, well, I don't really know. Is it a 7? If it's like, whatever number just pops into your head first, just pick it. It really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, actually.
And,
It's
you know,
you
and
do
that's
something and going
yeah.
with it.
And that's the thing which is really useful when I say to someone, well, just guess.
Yeah.
If you had to guess, or the other one is, if someone else had this feeling in their chest and it was yellow, what number do you think it might be?
Oh, I like that.
Because the mind goes, oh, I can guess for someone else. That's really easy. Oh, it's
Yeah.
a 6. Right. Thank you very much. So we have to circumnavigate the mind all of the time. So yeah, that's a really useful one. If someone else had this feeling, what temperature would it be? You know, even if I ask you this now, Phil, someone's got a certain feeling, right, and it's yellow in their heart. What temperature might it be for that other person?
Warm.
Yeah. So you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So therefore, you must have a yellow feeling in your heart in order to come up with that warm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're only ever doing our own work, because that person is our reality reflection, right? So when we're sat in a group doing the color work, we're all doing each other's work. So I'm thinking someone else is doing their own work, but actually they're doing mine, because maybe it's something I don't want to face at that moment in time. So we're all just aspects of self, right?
Are we doing Wendy's work or Charlie's work or Anne's work today?
I would
Right?
suggest we're doing all three.
Yeah. And they're working for us. They're allowing us to show up and be vulnerable. Thank you.
They're holding the space, right?
I don't know if my mum's on the show. There's 2 people watching, so maybe my mum and Tim. Thanks, Wendy.
So you know we've got these women that are holding space, Phil.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Anne, Charlie, Wendy, Tim, Patricia. Thank you for letting us show up.
Well, actually, Phil, it's thanking them for creating us showing up.
Yes.
Because letting us is that's an interesting one, isn't it? Oh, the love's pouring in now, Phil.
We'll take it.
You know, and that's what we get for being real. And you know, something shifted on the last show, without a doubt, I reckon. And you know, and I actually felt in myself that there's been a shift this week. I think cosmically there's been a shift, and there's another, talking about that. There's another big one coming, isn't there? Do you know about that, Phil?
Mm-mm. No.
I don't know if anyone else knows about it that's on the show. I can't find it easily. I think it's the 26th of May. Who was talking about that? Oh, Phil. Another Phil. Another Phil was talking about that. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
This year's first eclipse is May 26th. Is
that me? Sorry. I don't know what that was all about.
I just read this year's first eclipse on May 26th. The May full moon takes place in the fiery and free-spirited sign of Sagittarius and marks the first eclipse of the year.
Right. There you go. So it's going to be big, guys. So you're going to have to hold on to your seatbelts and
likely to be chaotic. Lovely.
Get ready to ride the wave.
What an amazing gift.
What time's that, Phil? Do you know? Does it say?
No, it just says May 26th. I just pulling up random articles. So.
And it's an eclipse. The 26th. What day is that on then? We might have to go and do something that day, Phil.
Oh, the major astrological events in May of the whole year. Like it's the most powerful time.
But it's the most powerful time of the whole year.
I think so.
Oh my God. They were saying today that May was like just something else. I haven't listened to it yet. Maybe I need to brace myself.
Or not. Do you really want to brace yourself? That's an interesting word.
Yeah, yes. Well, what I was meaning, yes, absolutely. I don't want to brace myself. What I was meaning was get informed, Phil.
So I'm going to read
Like,
what this says because the May 2021 full moon takes place in the fiery and free-spirited sign of Sagittarius and also marks the first eclipse of the year. This means we can expect explosive feelings and major course corrections. Eclipses in astrology always bring sudden shocks and revelations. So this lunation is likely to inspire a totally new sense of direction and purpose for all zodiac signs. We'll want to embrace Sagittarius' optimistic and adventure-loving vibe as we navigate the eclipse-induced changes and focus on seeing the big picture when examining our goals. Wow.
wow. So does it say what time that is, Phil?
It just says May 26th. I don't know the.
I'll have a quick look at that then.
Oh, so then where are we right now? What's the date today? 23rd. Okay. On May 23rd, Saturn retrograde 2020 kicks off in the rebellious sign of Aquarius. During its backspin, which lasts through October 10,
Oh my God.
Saturn asks us to reevaluate our boundaries and examine the rules we're forced to operate under. Saturn's tough love approach in astrology is all about teaching us life lessons and maturity. So this retrograde is a time for reflecting on our responsibilities. It might feel like a heavy cosmic burden, but it'll ultimately help us grow. Wow. Whew.
I think on a level I've been kind of been doing that a bit, Phil, because people are worried about this person and that person, and I'm like,
Hi, Mom. My mom said she's here.
hey, hi, Pat. And I've kind of got to the point with people now, Phil. It's like it's tough. They're making decisions. They've actually. This is a really interesting time because people are making decisions that are going to last them for the rest of their lives, and even maybe another full loop, which is 26,000 years on the soul level. And this is a big time. People are making big decisions, and actually, it's up to them. It's their journey. I've spent years, decades warning people about stuff that's coming, and I've been a conspiracy theory loophead. And actually, now it's really interesting. I'm kind of done with it. I'm now watching things about astrology, cryptocurrency. I'm not worried about the vaccine and what's in it and who's having it and who's not having it. I know one thing, right? I'm not interested. I'm not having it. I'm not queuing up. I'm not running to the front of the queue to have it. That's all I know.
Right.
So therefore, on that level, it's not going to affect me. It's going to affect a lot of people, and my friends and family it will affect. I know that. And that's clearly on a level our agreement.
Right.
But it's knowing now with what I know, there's not a lot I can do to
Well, there was
help.
some people who were really like there was I think we shared last week's show. I know some people who are really, really scared that it's going to affect me and the shedding of the modified proteins. And I'm like, well, that's one possibility on the
Yep.
3D reality. But then there's also like, we're energetic beings, we're electrical beings, we're beyond this. So, and then they're saying, the effects are going to be irreversible. And it's like, well, all of this, that's all possible. But there's other possibilities too. There's other possibilities that it's just energy, it's just frequency, and we can change it.
Do you know what, Phil?
What?
There's actually another annular solar eclipse on the 10th of June.
Lovely.
I didn't ask for that one. I was asking for another one. Man, and talk about precession of the equinoxes. It's all coming thick and fast here.
Exactly, Wendy. Quantum physics. And beyond.
However, though, I think we do have to take into consideration the depth of dream that we're in right now. And, all of this, without a doubt, is possible. It's all possible. It's just that there's also a level where our belief systems are. And yes, that's just an interesting one to play with, isn't it? I'm coming back. I'm giving up with that, Phil. I can't find it easily. It's going to take too much time. Yeah, absolutely. There's always quantum physics and there's always intention. Except remember, with intention, you need action. Intention with no action is no action.
Here we are in the present moment again. Going,
right back with all those distractions.
There's nothing to say. There's nothing to do. Wow. Whew.
That gives like a warm glow feel, doesn't it?
It does.
So here's a spray for everybody, right? This spray that I'm spraying now, I've just been told I've got to spray Oriole first. We're going to spray Oriole first. This is grounding, getting in our bodies. This is about feeling life. Let's get that in. Oh my God. Man, that made my eyes water. And this next
I just feel that go into my whole body. This is like, well, in my head. Yeah, it feels good.
This next spray, Phil, is like one of my favorites. This is what's really close to my heart and it's really important. It's ruby red. It's about tribe. It's about calling our tribe in. It's meeting our tribe. It's about our tribe showing up. It's time for your tribe, my tribe, our tribe to show up. Oh, that just squirts that there like an injection then.
The memory that came up was, I don't know if you were there for Thanksgiving at Tree of Life ever, but we had this Thanksgiving where there was this giant circle. We're all holding hands and doing a blessing of the Thanksgiving meal. And it was phenomenal. It was just all these people holding hands. And we're holding hands with, everybody on this call, anyone who's, living in, a lifestyle that, we believe is healthy, that we're all holding hands with them. So.
Yeah, what was amazing, Phil, one day everyone was doing a blessing at the tree and I came around, I'd been somewhere else and I came around the back by the little, I was going to say incubator sheds then, but they weren't incubator sheds. They were back to my old days. They were the dehydrator sheds. I came around a corner by the dehydrator sheds and I could hear this like a swarm of bees. Mm-hmm. And it was the sound of Om.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Mm-hmm.
So with that whole group of you guys omming, it sounded like bees going on. And I was like, wow, that's what an Om actually sounds like from the outside.
Well, it's a primordial sound. So anything in nature is going to resonate some level of that. So like bees swarming, even when you hear like like, doesn't it feel great? You're in the park, right? You go to a park and there's people play, like children playing, and you hear screams. And when you kind of step away from that and you just like feel that energy, it's really beautiful. It's just the sounds of joy and fun and play, and there's primordial sound in that, like in everything.
We kind of hit that little bliss point again, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
I think that's the perfect time for me to go to bed.
I think so too. Been on the show for about an hour, so it's kind of perfect.
An hour and a half, Phil.
An hour and a half? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, because we started a little later. Wow, that went fast. All right. Well,
Alrighty.
I'm Phil,
And I'm Phil.
and this has been a journey into the Matrix on Phil and Phil Show, or out of the Matrix, or one of those things. I don't know.
I think it's been into the realization of the dream.
Yeah. And you can check out our website, philandphil.com, sign up for our newsletter, make a donation so I can pay for the website hosting. And anything else you want to support us in? Organic food, love, joy, bliss, peace.
Yeah.
And yep, we'll be back next week, showing up.
Yeah, and if there's someone that you guys would like us to interview, you know, we'll can't guarantee anything, but we'll do our best to get them on the show. Yeah, I've got someone up my sleeve that I've been communicating with, doing my best to communicate to get them on to talk about their 12-day
Hi,
Try
Mom.
Fast journey.
Yes, that'll be interesting.
Wouldn't it? So, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you being with us, and love to everybody.